Hi, folks, welcome back. Just a quick little review. If you weren't able to listen to the Trader Roundup Twitter space or X space on Sunday, I covered basically the move that took place on Monday. And a student was asking me about this self-centered balance by centered efficiency. And it is, I guess, again, the conversation, if you will, talking with the student. I had no intentions of sharing as I indicated last week. I didn't want to give any analysis, going forward for this week. I wanted you all to rely on your own, and I basically just told the student and everyone listening that this volume imbalance right here, price would likely draw up into that and then sell off. We were looking for this buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency here, and we got down to it with the let's call encouragement traded to it on Friday, and then today we opened, traded up into that volume of balance right there. And you count these levels here as gradient levels for price to try to draw down into. What time frame is it anchored to? The daily. So the daily chart has these octant and quadrant levels, and we went right up into the volume of balance here, which happens to be in agreement with basically the Friday new day opening gap. So when we go into the lower time frame, we see it drop into, well, not rot, that basically drive up into this area here and then sell off. So if we were looking at the daily down into a 1 minute chart, these levels here are the octant and the quadrant levels. You can see how we are working inside Friday's new day opening gap. This is also going to be that lower volume imbalance on the daily chart. I recorded a little snippet off of the Trader Roundup from Kit's X space that he runs and then helps manage the flow of questions and whatnot. And I snipped a little piece of that and put it on my X account so that way you can see exactly what was being said. You can see the time at which it was posted by the student with their chart. And then I was within minutes after that answering it. And I gave you exactly what was happening on Monday. So you get this, this comment all the time, in my posts, or if someone else is talking about me or another influencer or whatever, they'll say, "You'll never see him. He never does it live. You never see him do it live." Um, this morning, I showed my stop loss when it was very close to where I was wanting to see an increase in the breakdown in the short. And I told my son, Caleb, I said, as soon as I show this short and the stop loss with it, I know they're going to run up there and hit it, and they're going to sink it down. And it happened. So I had to go and not chase it, but we had to go and look at the levels here. So here's that upper volume imbalance part of May 5th. Okay, May 5th of 2026 on the daily chart. Let me go back to it real quick. I just want to make sure you see it. Okay, so this candlestick right here, and then this volume imbalance up there. So all of this is the discount array we were looking for when we were up here. We're going to drop down into that. So if we measure the low, which is this open and close, because it's basically the same thing, 28,009.25. And well, Yeah, we're basically looking at the open price. So it should be technically what? Like this. Kind of move it ever so slightly. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I got it. Right. So anyway, then I have the fib. That's what I have anchored incorrectly, I think. No, I don't know why it's showing that. See how it shows 28,007.75? That actually shouldn't even be showing like that. I don't know why it's doing it. Either way, it's good enough for government work, right? So we traded up into the volume and balance, the lower one compared to this one. I stated that for swing trading, this would need to be an area where your stop loss can't be below. So that way you're not going to get stung by a premature stop out. So now that we have these highlighted, just know that this purple level here is the volume of balance in this. So you can see it right there. See? So it's there to there. And then we can put that back. Now we can drop back down into a 1 minute chart. And you can see how it's utilizing those levels here. It's pretty random, isn't it? All right, so we're going to go back in. You can see overnight we hit this Friday new day opening gap, and it's the same as that lower level sell side of balance, buy side of efficiencies, volume and balance. And here is that other. See, it's purple. Okay, or it should be showing as purple. Um, that's the next bit of business here. So if you measure the fib from the high of that May 5th, 2026, that's what this level is here, the top of that, down to the low, okay, on the daily chart, and you project them forward, you get these types of levels here. These are the high, the upper octant quadrant, lower octant, consequent encroachment, lower octant, lower quadrant, lower octant, and then the low of the May 5th, 2026 buy side about sell side efficiency. Okay, and it had a drop down in. Okay, and we were looking at how price opened in here. I wanted to get in with a limit order, but I was afraid it wasn't going to fill me. And I just wanted to be in it because then I could manage the trade around it. If I got stopped out, as you saw me get stopped out in the black, uh, I end up going back in again. So getting short in here and dropping down, we got into the high of that May 5th positive about sell side efficiency. And then it rallied up, stopped me after I took a partial. And then once it got it in this area here, I'm selling short once more. And I'm looking for, I want to try to get down into consequent encroachment on the daily charts, May 5th, buy side balance, sell side efficiency, and then try to trim some of these off in here. But it ends up coming back up and trading in the upper volume of bounce more time. I was expecting it to get really, really heavy. And for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. So if we break this down and we go in here and start looking at the finer details, I'll go through all of the rigmarole of the octants, the quadrants. There's the low of that May 5th, 2026. Buy side about sell side efficiency. And this is where I'm getting stopped out on so the high of that volume imbalance down into the first octant, upper quadrant, next octant, consequent encroachment, next octant, lower quadrant, lower octant, and then the low of the May 5th, 2026 buy side balance, sell side efficiency on the daily chart. And you can see how we left this area up here. We have the octant there. And this could have been an area where you could have seen it trade up into. If it would have done that, that would have been an area to get short again. And here we have this. So this is the upper quadrant on that May 5th of 2026 buy side and balance, sell side and efficiency. So we have a fair value gap in here, and the market trades up into it there, and we break lower. Now we're down into the lower octant right before we get the consequent encroachment. And then we get the body of this SIBI laying right on top of that octant right before we get into consequent encroachment. And we trade up into it here. Really nice shorting opportunity there. And look what it's doing. It's keeping the body, okay, it's keeping the body outside of the upper half of that. And look at all the bodies actually. They're staying outside. So that's an indication it's likely to go down a lot, okay? And we break aggressively lower. We have another octant right below the consequent encroachment of May 5th's buy side of balance, sell side efficiency. And nothing in here that we can utilize. And now I'm going to look for areas that take partial profits. So as we get closer to this, I teach students to try to run down equity. Okay. You're basically chasing new equity every time it gives you an opportunity to take partials at key levels, that being lowest octant, lowest quadrant, octant below consequent encroachment, consequent encroachment. Okay. So it could very easily come back up and trade against me because it's been heavy all morning. So I want to start like trying to trim some of this off and just simply use these levels here. Once it gets to it, treat it just like it's a sell side imbalance. I'm sorry, sell side liquidity. And then if it gets to it or below it, then taking a partial or getting close to these levels. There's nothing wrong with peeling something off, and then finally letting the low get traded below and then taken out. So that way we can close a portion of the trade. Um, there's the second trade's partial and then stop out right in here. And then we have the new entries here, 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 here. They're partials, partials. Notice they're in close proximity to the gradient levels. And down here, right before, and then finally giving up the ghost right at the low. But it went a bit lower, but you're never going to get all of it. Okay. You got to get real content with just being good enough. Okay. Content enough, right? Or being content with, what you got out of the trade, and there it is. And then the rest of the session, you can see how we have all of the movement is being basically supported. Look at the octant right below consequent encroachment. Look at that. Beautiful. Notice the bodies don't touch that octant. And then we break lower. Come in here. We break lower, drift lower. One more time, flirting below that May 5th, 2026's buy side of balance, sell side efficiency is low. Then we trade right back up. And then we are inside the lower quadrant. Same thing in here. And then we're in the lunch hour. Okay, so during Monday's New York lunch, we go in here, look at one of these little retail bull flags. Notice that it doesn't seem to work there, does it? And it's going up into the octant right below consequent encroachment. We move lower, and then back down below the May 5th buy side of balance, sell side efficiency, and just meandering around in here. And when it starts just spending a lot of time between octants and quadrants, it's usually indicative that you want to sit to the sidelines and don't do anything. Okay, don't try to do anything fancy. Don't squeeze anymore to try to get more blood out of the turnip. So we have relative equal highs up here between here and here. So there's buy side resting right there. So anywhere between 190 and 200 in there in that vicinity, the market could go up here and try to grab that. It does so here. It goes right up to consequent encroachment of May 5th, 2026. Buy side balance, sell side efficiency on the daily chart. And we meander around on the lower octant right below consequent encroachment. And we're just spending a lot of time in a narrow range and go right up to the lower octant right below consequent encroachment. Look at the reaction off of that. Isn't that brilliant? And trades lower. Look at the reaction there, down to the lowest octant using the lower quadrant here. Breaks down, lowest octant, beautiful, look at that. And then one more sweep below that. And there's where we're at right now. Okay, so not a bad little technique, isn't it? You're looking at things, grading very specific inefficiencies. It just so happens to be the ones I'm always talking about, which is probably random. But I wanted to kind of like preface it by saying you, you can see these things being explained beforehand. You can see these things being demonstrated. I show executions. You see me getting stopped out sometimes. The volatility right now is really, really high. And there's nothing I can do with that except for either consider getting back in or moving to the sideline or reversing, excuse me, or reverse and go the other direction. So I don't think that if you're finding some difficulty finding footing, okay, or stability or consistency right now, especially if you're brand new, um, don't let that beat you up. Don't let it beat you up because you're going to find that there are times when the markets is simply going to be a little bit more difficult than it can be in other times. And forcing your will or trying to complain about it like it's going to do something to change it, it doesn't do anything to change it. The only thing it does, it makes you have a toxic mentality. And I think that's going to be it. It's real easy when you see these people out there and they talk the talk. And I promised 50 times whatever they do. And just in one day, smoked.